Welcome to our final installment of NAU's Wellness Webinar Lunch and Learn series. I am pleased to introduce Jennifer Utter, who will be sharing tips on stress relief for overloaded brains. Jennifer is the Associate Dean of our Criminal Justice Program at National American University. In addition to being a licensed attorney and former prosecutor, Jennifer is an advanced certified BodyTalk practitioner, access technician, and access trainer. BodyTalk is an holistic approach to relieving stress naturally. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Tammy. Need a little tapping right now. Huh?
Exactly.
Well, welcome everyone. And I have entitled this talk, Stress Relief for Overloaded Brains, a calmer approach to managing change and achieving new goals. And part of our series of health in so many areas, in many ways, comes down to this, and managing stress. And so we're going to start out talking about exactly what is stress. And when we think about stress, it's different for everyone, but there are two characteristics that are still the same. One, and I think we need to make, I'm going to just scoot all my videos over there. But one is the definition. And when we think about stress, we need to think about these two common definitions for everything that we're doing. One is eustress. And this is a pleasant or curative stress. And it's something, if you think about weightlifting or any kind of working out, whether it's physically or mentally with your actions or your thoughts, it's doing a little bit more to stress your system so that you learn and you can grow and you can do a little bit more the next time, right? So what happens when we're under eustress is we have some physical changes, not only in our bodies, but in our thoughts. Distress can be defined as the harmful or unpleasant stress on our system. And this is what we generally think of when we talk about stress, whether we're running from danger at a very primitive level, and we're just overloading our system in some way so that we cannot function properly. And the result in our bodies and in our minds of both of these types of stress is the same. It's going to affect our thinking and it's going to affect our physical functioning. When we are in that, whether it's generally that distress mode, we have that fight or flight reaction. And it really has to do with our perceptions, and our perceptions control our reality. If we perceive danger, our bodies react, we ramp up, and we're ready to escape. But if you watch animals when they run from some type of danger that they perceive, at some point it's over. They shake it off. If you think about a deer that's running from a mountain lion, they don't ruminate over whether or not the mountain lion had mixed motives for the attack, or what the deer should have done differently to avoid the lion, or why the lion chased him in the first place. He runs away from the danger, he shakes it off, and he is back to eating. It is over when it's over. We should be able to do the same thing. But one of the reasons that we are sometimes unable to shake it off is that this perception of danger is continually bombarding us. And we ruminate over events, we relive them over and over, and sometimes we just reject the reality that the danger is over. And that's why I say it's different for everybody. So I would like to present to you a couple of different ways that we can each support ourselves individually to shake things off in our modern world. So of course we can shake it off physically, and I mean just physically shake it. Move your body. Of course, breathe. When you're scared, don't you recognize that really shallow breathing? And in fact, purposeful deep breathing is one of the specific ways that we can manage our own stress levels and help ourselves shake it off physically. Breathing calms us down, and this is scientifically supported. Breathing stimulates our parasympathetic reactions, the ones that calm us down. We're resting, we're digesting, we have a relaxation response, and that is mainly controlled by the vagus nerve in our bodies. And I loved this description that I found. If stress is as if we are in a car and we've got the pedal to the metal and we're going down the interstate, hopefully, at 120 miles an hour, breathing, and if that's the stress response, then breathing activates that vagus nerve, and that's what's engaging the brakes. And there is a citation there for, if you'd like to look at the article that talks about how breathing can calm us down. So here is a very specific way that we can calm ourselves down, and I invite you to give this a try with me. This is called square breathing. It is one form of yoga breathing. It's something you can do anytime, anywhere, and I would invite you to try it with me right now. So what we're going to do, the instructions are there, and so what I'll have you do is just get to that place of calm, and you're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold it out, 2, 3, one more time, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, breathe it out, 2, 3, 4, hold it out, 2, 3, 4. Go back to breathing normally, and you can repeat that cycle as needed. What I encourage you to do is to close your eyes, of course, when you're not driving, and just notice what you notice. Maybe even just right now, just take a moment and think about what it's like inside your skin, inside your thoughts, compared to before. And feel free to share this technique with those around you, with people in your family, and just know that science supports the health benefits of deep, purposeful breathing. And there's a couple articles that you can take a look at. Great for blood pressure issues, and has also been shown to improve quality of life in a pilot study involving cancer patients. Breathing is natural. You can't overdose on it, and can help calm your body systems. So another thing we need to do, of course, is to be able to shake it off mentally. So we've got a way we can physically help ourselves with these purposeful deep breathing to relax our bodies, but we still might have that perception. And so, of course, just like in this Christmas group therapy session, you can talk it over. You can reflect privately or with another person on what's going on, and definitely with the goal of adjusting your attitude, because attitude really is going to carry you through the day, whatever your challenge might be. Another way that you can shake it off mentally is to balance your brain. And you really are the most awesome self-healing unit that there could have ever been created. And one of the ways that I'm going to talk to you about that you can help yourself to heal and relieve stress is through a technique. It's called BodyTalk cortices. The cortices word is just the plural for the word cortex, and that's just the outer gray matter of your brain. Just underneath your skull, it's that outer layer. And what this technique does is it balances the energy between the left and right side of your brain, so the energy of that, and it supports your body's ability to relieve stress. This is a complementary technique, just like the breathing. This technique helps support you along with anything else you're doing. So you're dieting, you're exercising, you're adjusting your attitude with Christmas group therapy, and this BodyTalk Cortices technique can just be added to that at any point in the process. It's just a process of light touch and light tapping over your head, over your heart, over your navel, and it is a technique that works with the cellular energy that's documented to flow in and around our bodies. So it's down to the cellular level that you are supporting yourself with this Cortices technique. BodyTalk is really, the underlying theory is a dynamic systems approach, that it's stress relief and healing is more than just the sum of the pieces and parts that we are and the actions that we can do, but it's really a sum of the whole. And we truly are fearfully and wonderfully made. If you'd like to know more about BodyTalk, there's information all over the internet and a link to my website. Here is what the BodyTalk Cortices technique looks like. And if you're joining on by telephone, this PowerPoint will be available so that you can review it and see what it looks like when you are at a better place and have access to a computer. But this is basically what it looks like. It has a calming effect on all of your body systems all at once. And then there's just a subjective increase in well-being. Many people just simply feel better. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to teach you this Cortices technique. It takes 2 minutes. And I'm going to reactivate my video, Tammy, just so that I can tell whether or not you can see me. There we go. And I think you can still see the instructions on the slide. So if I can't scoot it just a little bit over. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, if you're joining us by telephone or whether you're sitting at your desk, is I'd like you to just take a moment, close your eyes, and just check in with yourself. And just notice what it's like to be you right now. I'm going to briefly explain what we're going to do, and then I'm going to demonstrate it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to equally highlight both sides of our brain from the base of the skull all the way to our eyebrows with a solid, centered, single hand position. Then we're going to tap over our head, over our heart or the sternum area, over your belly button or navel, and then back over your sternum area. And so we're going to take a breath for 2 breaths for each hand position. So here you go. Here's a solid hand position. It's like a karate chop hand position. And you're going to take it and you're going to just put it on the base of your skull, like so. You're going to equally highlight the left and right side right throughout the center. Okay, so these knuckles right here should be in that center all the way at the back. So you have an equal amount of hand on the left and right side. So now you're going to take your hand also equally and very gently and lightly. You're going to take a breath in. And you're going to lightly tap over the center of your head at the crown. You're going to tap over your sternum. You're going to take another breath. You're going to start tapping over your belly button. And then tap over your sternum. Now we're going to go to the next hand position. It takes maybe 4 or 5 hand positions, but 1 hand width at a time. We're going to march from the back all the way to the front to the eyebrows. So the solid hand is at the second hand position. Your other hand is lightly tapping and you're breathing in. Lightly tapping over your head. Breathe out. Tap over your sternum. There's still that solid hand that's on the back of your head. Another breath. Tap over your navel. And back over your sternum. You're to the third hand position. You can switch hands so that you do one hand width at a time. And that's what I'm going to do. And you just breathe in and lightly tap over your head. Tap over your sternum. Another breath. Tap over your navel and over your sternum. The next solid hand position, you're pretty much on the top of your head and you just tap over that solid hand. So your tapping hand is going to tap over that solid hand, just very lightly, and you're breathing in. Tap over your sternum. Keep that solid hand on top of your head. Another breath, tap over your navel. And breathing out, tap over your sternum. You always close with tapping over your sternum. The next hand position is you should be close to the hairline now. And your tapping hand is going to be maybe just a little bit on top of that solid hand. Breathing in. But mostly your tapping hand is over the crown of your head. You just don't go away from that. It's the same every time. Tap over your sternum. Take another breath, tap over your navel. And so you're at your hairline. Take another hand position and go all the way to your eyebrows and make sure that every time you use that solid hand and you be sure to touch your eyebrows. So you start at the base or the occipital lobe is what that's representing of your brain. And this is going all the way and representing the frontal cortex, the part that's responsible for advanced thinking, you human you. And tap over your sternum, tap over your navel, back. We're at one more hand position. So take both hands, solid hands, your karate chop hands, and you're going to put them over your ears. And it's about 1/3 covering the top third of both of your ears. And you're going to take one breath here. And then you're going to put one hand on top of your head, set up the other hand over your sternum. I'm going to tiptoe and start tapping both of those at the same time and take another breath. Tap over your navel, over your sternum, and you can release your hands and just, you're done. Congratulations. You have just learned how to do your first BodyTalk technique, BodyTalk cortices. And check in with yourself just as you're sitting there, as you're on the phone. And I'll just propose to you, and you can either submit a chat to Tammy or ask me a question at the conclusion of this, but just take a note of now, what is it like to be you? Some people can notice when the energy is moving around their body. Some people can't notice that, but be assured that it's still working. It's whether you notice it or not. Your brain, if the energy of your brain was like this before that technique started, what that technique did was allow that energy to calm and then consolidate. And if you can use both sides of your brain equally effectively to recognize what's going on with you, what stress you're experiencing, then you have a better support system in place to address what's going on with the rest of your body systems. Your brain is that programmer. It's directing what's going on. And we're a dynamic system. So working together, balancing that brain allows your body to work together better. So when can you do this technique? Really, you can do this technique anytime. Let me see if I can't shrink that video. You can do this technique anytime, any place. If you're uncomfortable doing this in an open area, for instance, if your office area is open like a cubicle, but other people can see you, go to the ladies' room, go to the men's room, do this technique for yourself. It takes 2 minutes and see what can happen. So anytime, there's no overdosing. Just like you can't overdose on breathing, you can't overdose on this natural technique for balancing your brain's energy. And you can, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, when you are sitting at your computer and you're just looking at the computer and you can feel that you've hit that wall, just step back, close your eyes, take a breath, do that technique for yourself. It takes 2 minutes, and you are able to come back in a more clear frame of mind, so that what you've done is you've relieved the stress of that situation before you go into a tough meeting, or before you begin a project, before you begin a difficult conversation with a friend or a family member. Specifically, during this health challenge, use this technique anytime you feel yourself triggered to make the choice, because it is all your choice. Anytime you feel triggered to make the choice to break your eating plan, or to engage in some other behavior that you are trying to change, try this technique. You can keep this technique. You can do it as many times in a row. We just went through one round or one whole cortices technique, but you can do this over and over again, as many times as is necessary. And what you're looking for, if you are a person that can feel the energy moving throughout your body, you're looking for a shift from stress into calm. And when you feel that shift, that's when you know you can make a better decision. And so if you know your triggers, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, then plan to use these two techniques, and you can use them in combination with each other or separately from each other. But hopefully that will allow you to see the benefits of both of these techniques, either the square breathing or the BodyTalk cortices technique. For those of you who can see the PowerPoint right now, this is just a series. We're watching this guy. He is doing this cortices technique. So you can not only do this for yourself, but you can do this for other people. A few words about doing this technique for other people. First, check in with that person, and I'm just going to use a true event that happened to a person that is a certified BodyTalk practitioner. She has a 5-year-old son. He was 5 at the time, and he was out playing on the playground, and she was watching, and he ran to her with a bloody nose and, crying and holding his nose. And so what you're going to do is first notice if there's some immediate event that you're trying to calm a person down. Your own child, you've got permission to touch them. Certainly if you're touching another adult or a teenager, then get that verbal permission to touch them. Explain what you're doing. Here's some languaging for you. Hey, I just this week at a Lunch and Learn webinar put on by the Alumni Foundation, learned a great technique that might help reduce stress. It involves light touch and tapping. Do I have your permission to try this technique? I'll just be lightly touching your hair and tapping over your sternum and your navel. Stand to one side, and so hopefully you can see me, but if the person's head is right here, you're just going to stand to the side and you're going to tap. And you can tap in front, or you can tap on their back in that general same area. When you have a person that is able and they're not too upset, they can tap their own heart and navel while you do one hand position and you just tap on their head, and they just keep tapping and you breathe with them. The general idea is to take 2 breaths per solid hand position. You just start at the base of the skull, exactly like we did, work all the way to the eyebrows, end up over their ears. I encourage you to give this a try. BodyTalk does no harm. You can do no harm. And to go back to my colleague whose son had a bloody nose, she wasn't even halfway through this technique. His bloody nose quit. He quit crying and he went back to playing. And isn't that what it's all about? So you can check in with yourself and with the person each time you complete that, and putting those hands over your ears, that's the completion after the tapping. Check in with yourself, check in with that other person until the pain or the distress, emotion levels have gone down, in fact, have gone away, or at least reduced so that the person is able to manage that on their own. There is a cumulative beneficial effect to doing this technique for yourself. You're more resilient to stress. Repeated application just helps you continue to rebalance. We're always in motion. We're always adjusting. And this technique is specifically addressing the stress that can be generated in the amygdala complex of the brain. And you can research that on your own. What cortices does is it helps us to maintain a really calm approach, a really calm reaction, whether you're under stress, and whether that is physical, mental, or emotional, and whether it's eustress or distress. A few final thoughts. One, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, right? And so if you have some comments now, this is the end of the presentation. If you have any comments or questions about your experience with either square breathing or the BodyTalk cortices technique, you're welcome to express those now. Thank you for your attention during this webinar. And I welcome, and I'll turn it back over to Tammy, actually.
Thanks, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. While folks are thinking of questions, which everyone's microphone should be open now. Rachel, I'll let you do your own should you have a question. Just feel free to interrupt. I'll just say I've utilized breathing. I've never called it BodyTalk, but as a runner, you learn to control your breathing, and it keeps you calm as you're running, and it's something that then transfers over to your everyday life. So it's immediately calming. The cortices technique, I have to sort of wrap my brain around why that works, but the focus of it, the focus and the movements is absolutely calming in the same way breathing is. I mean, it causes you to stop and pause, which when you're dealing with a lot of stress is sometimes what your brain needs. Just stopping and giving your brain a break, and maybe your body. So
this cortices technique is a great technique for athletes. And one daughter of a BodyTalk practitioner said, "Mom, I saw some swimmers doing this right before at the Olympics." And I'm like I said, I'm going to try to find that clip of seeing the swimmers doing some tapping for themselves before their event.
That's very cool. Does anyone else have any questions? I think you must have covered everything really well, Jennifer.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and anytime I can speak to coworkers and help them relieve stress, doesn't that relieve stress for all of us, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll say goodbye now. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.